So that's also important to you. But happy, of course, if you stay until the end. The recording will be made available on the events page along with the slide deck that we're showing here. So yeah, I'm excited to host this session together with Juro from Serbia. We've hosted a few events already, a handful of events, and it's always good and getting good feedback, good discussion. So also inviting you, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the chat. We also have a Q&A session. So how to get started with agentic automation? And firstly, or let's take a look at the agenda. What and why are AI agents, agentic automation? What is this? We want to give a brief overview on this. And then we've got a live demo with us to showcase something that UiPath has added, or some things, plural maybe, that they have added to their products, the platform. And then, of course, the question, how do you start with these products, features, technologies? So that's that. Let me see if I can. Good. I muted you, Christina, but thanks anyway for your support. So let's get started. Juro, brief introduction maybe. Who are you? What are you doing? And how did you come across like the agentic part on your journey?
Yeah, so hi everyone. Thank you all for joining. And yes, Roman, as you mentioned, it's really great to co-host events with you. It's always nice feedback. So my name is Jure Ivankovic. I'm coming from Serbia. I'm UiPath MVP and chapter leader for Belgrade, Serbia. I'm also the author of ebook Mindful RPA Methodology, and I've been with UiPath for quite some time. I've been working mostly on RPA side, but yes, lately as the agentic has been the big part of the job, it's also worth investing the time and do the things. And there, the Roman and I came up with the idea to host events to just talk about some basics, because it's still early in the market, but we already see some pitfalls which we should address people to. But yeah, later on that one. Thank you everyone, and looking forward to a great session.
Cool, wonderful. Always great having you and your thoughts also, because we share a lot in common on the fundamentals and on governance topics and so on and so forth, to have proper implementations. And I think we've got some good content here prepared to sort of portray this towards the agentic automation part and AI agents and so on and so forth. I'm Roman from Switzerland, Zurich. Implementation partner, UiPath implementation partner with my company Routinum. Been that for more than 6 years. And yeah, I want to also show you some things and parallels that we see from like the RPA experiences towards agentic automation. So yeah, happy to connect. If we aren't connected yet, just drop me an invitation on LinkedIn. Jure, you have shared it before, right? So maybe we can do that again. Always happy. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And I've hosted many events already on the Zurich chapters, cross-chapter collaborations. Always interested in discussing with you and some newer topics like today, but also some fundamentals, of course, because I think they are very important still. So AI agents and agentic automation. We've got a few slides, official slides from UiPath, and I'll hand this to you, Juro. What is Act 1? So this is what UiPath also put out there, right?
Yeah, so I will try not to make it history lesson from this, but it's worth mentioning before we move to the agentic stuff and the Act 2. So what was, as UiPath said, the first 10 years? So what make the UiPath? So they became if you ask me, they are number one tool out there for automation and RPA processes. Of course, there are other tools, there are competitors, but from when you are looking from business perspective and developer perspective, then the UiPath is most likely the winner there because it's easiest to work with UiPath on my side, and it's also the delivering platform. And yeah, they established and anchored the position as a world leader, and they have been doing it pretty well because of the great community, because of all of you guys and all of us, and again the great team from the UiPath who are following what people has been demanding and fixing the problems and creating the new opportunities. So pretty much they developed a lot of tools, and you all know that UiPath has a lot of tools. To be honest, for me it's also sometimes hard to track what all they have. So there's Studio, which we all know, but there's so many other tools, and one also big thing which I see UiPath as a leader is Orchestrator, which I see it as the studio is a plane, and then what is the plane without a pilot? So it's a piece of metal. But when you put an orchestrator there, then you pretty much can do a lot of stuff with orchestrating the automations and do all those stuff around them. They also have a lot of other tools. It's AI assistant, of course. There's process mining, task mining, document understanding, a lot of tools. But they have been missing one part all along, and that's something which pretty much created the Act 2, and that's decision making. So decisions were pretty much hard coded, and decisions were pretty much related to the business. So how you will handle it. Now, I'm not saying that the AI is some great miracle which is making decisions in front of you. Still, it needs some sort of input to create the output. But when AI came on the field, when AI joined the game, then pretty much the Act 2 was the right name to choose for where the company is headed now. As I see it, they shifted a lot because now, as they said, the new era of agentic automation is previously with RPA, it's still the big part of job. That's something which Roman and I will talk more in this session. And the RPA is there; it's not moving anywhere. But it was mostly oriented to ROI and how you will implement that automation, how it will return to you, and also the topic which everyone is avoiding, but everyone is speaking of, it's money. If I invest, will I get it back, and so on and so forth. But with agentic stuff, it's more goal oriented. Now we can tackle a lot more problems, which would not be the case for RPA previously because it's dynamic, the data is not structured, the decision needs to be made along the way. It's too much to put human in the loop there, but now with the AI help, it can filter a lot of those decisions so that the human in the loop is still needed and preferred, but it's on the other hand much less human in the loop than the previously. So that's where the Act 2 started, and that's, I mean, Act 2 is nothing new. We are not revealing here, hey, the UiPath started working with the agentic stuff. No, it's been for a while out there. A lot of people already is using it greatly. Some of them already failed. Some of them are trying to use it. A lot of people from my surrounding came to me and asked, where do I start? How do I start? What to start? People are kind of afraid, should they hop on a train? Because it might be a fail, it might not, and so on and so forth. So from my point of view, it's great direction, but still you need to follow the fundamentals to be on the right track and to implement it properly. So that's what we will try to do in this session.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense to also show this slide here or sort of a timeline. It doesn't need to apply to where you or your organization is at, but many or a few years ago, potentially, you started off maybe with some RPA and UI automation. Maybe you had to use computer vision and so on and so forth. But it's been a journey. And you could debate whether all these, or whether you need to follow this chronologically, or can you actually start at like Gen AI automations without proper fundamentals? And this could be a whole debate. in and of itself. But this, we don't want to go into all these terms and or stages whatsoever, but this is sort of what you've described already, Juro, on also a timeline where UiPath is headed. But not saying that they're abandoning RPA or anything. We will see that this is very instrumental in combination. And this slide also we is an official slide. We thought we'd add it here without spending too much time on it. But you see the different layers of activities, workflows, and towards processes. But seeing the RPA task, activities, and so on, and that there's been more and more added, which we can portray to use cases, as you mentioned, Juro, right? So deterministic workflows or rule-based, and now maybe something has changed in the field. Good.
Sure.
Then we have one more slide here as like fundamentals or to just bring you towards the topic. This is a report from Gartner that's been put out a few months back in June, because I'm sure you've seen many different, or you've seen the terms AI agent, agentic AI, what is what, and this is one of their assessment frameworks. So where are you, or where are they positioned when it comes to capabilities? Even or a lot though is on the conversations or chat part, interpretations part, because you will not find the term RPA right away here. RPA might be supportive. For example, conversational AI can in the background trigger some RPA workflows, robots, tasks, whatever. So this is one slide that we wanted to also share. We're going to come back to this source a bit later. Yeah, so anything you'd like to add to this, Juro?
No, I just when you started saying AI agents, assistants, agentic, yeah, the pretty much when all this stuff rolled out, of course, I had some inside information, I had some input information, I was already involved in some things, but when I saw those terminologies flying around the LinkedIn, the first thought which came to my mind was like, people will be confused what is what. They might even think that is the same thing, but yeah, different people is naming it differently, which is not far from true in some cases. But yeah, it's a lot of terminology around there, and that's also the thing why we should stick to fundamentals and then go from there instead of jumping directly to that train. But yeah, more of that later.
Yeah, and I think it also takes some time to get there and say, okay, we need basic understanding, and then we will show you now a demo where we see an agent in action, but there's more to it. And then we will show you, okay, how can you get started with that? And we also recommend just get started with simple stuff, and then yeah, you can always go back into the bird's eye view and say, okay, where am I at right now when it comes to maybe something like what you're seeing here? What did I just do, or what am I trying to do? But of course, capabilities here, last point here is, yeah, the more advanced, the harder it will be to realize, and probably even also more costly. So the technology, of course, is always also improving. So AI agents and agentic automation, and the demo part where I'd like to dive in. Safe harbor, I'm going to show you something from UiPath staging environment. So not everything you see might be released in products, but some is available, of course. But we got to put this here. So yeah, what I want to show you is actually this is a very simple process that I want to show to you. And this might not be all correct here. It's really fictitious, simple process. But this, of course, is not your standard UiPath RPA sequence or flowchart. This is a BPMN a model, right? That we, or should be a standard that we all understand. And this has come to the UiPath platform. First under agentic orchestration, now the product is called Maestro, that brings all this or these components together. And I want to show you how we can automate a process like this. So we receive a customer inquiry, we process that email. I'll be very specific what we do with this. We hand it over to customer support, and then we sort of, or this decides, do we need a human escalation to an expert or human, or can we simply answer this question, right? Because it's a frequently asked question, maybe that we just give or provide feedback. So let me hop on over here. What you're seeing here is I'll just jump back and forth so it's refreshed. So this is a solution that's built in UiPath Studio. A newer variant is not the Studio Desktop, it's the Studio Web, which brings different components together. And what you see here is the same canvas. We can build something like this. This is a workflow, an agentic workflow. We can build this from scratch. I'll show you afterwards that we can actually use also a BPMN model that we have, a BPMN file. We can import that. And we'll talk about that, what benefits that provides. So what we see here is the same process, of course, that I had already shown you. But now this is not just an image, it is actions behind it. So for example, this is my email message start event, a trigger. So if I receive an email, for example, via Gmail, then this can trigger my process. So we will process this, and all these activities we have to design. These are properties, and here we have different actions. And for this one, we have start and wait for an RPA workflow. So it brings together BPM with RPA, which we can do already, or could have done. We can do orchestration also in Studio. We can build also isolated solutions that we string together. But what this does is, okay, it triggers or starts and waits for the automation ingest mail. And I'll hop on over to that one. This is my solution. Very, very simple what's in here, but this is, okay, get the newest email or get an email of a connection that I have. I'll go through that and basically read, understand. So that provides me with some variables which I can then use in my start and wait for agent action. So here I've got an agent, and this, of course, or is probably the most interesting part for this session also, where everyone's interested. So what is an agent and how is this put together? I have a very, very simple agent here, and this is, so you build an agent with system and user prompts. So the system prompt is really the goal, the what role and boundaries and so on and so forth that this agent should work within. And this is so you are a customer support agent and you're doing this blah blah blah. Use the FAQ. So what is the FAQ? We have prepared some content so it doesn't, or hopefully not. Hopefully we can decide that, right? How much it should hallucinate or how it should act. And here you can see, we're not going into all details, but in or highlighted with different colors is inputs and outputs, so variables or arguments. And further down, you will see context. So this is my FAQ. So this will help my agent understand. So what am I actually doing? I am answering email inquiries from customers. So let me hop to this sheet, context grounding, FAQ. Here, for example, is there a minimum order value? Usually 250 50 Swiss francs or euro or US dollar, whatever. So these are some generic information, general information that we need, and this will be used by the agent. Now, without further,
Sorry, Roman, for
yes,
interruption. So for now, I will
mhm,
act as a user, but yeah, people, if you want to ask something, feel free to type into the
yeah,
chat. I will ask here. So of course, if this FAQ is changed along the way, so for example, we are 6 months into development and we stumble upon more cases, more stuff, we updated the FAQ. It's easy to swap, right?
right. So I will hop to this. So this is in Orchestrator. And you will find, you might be familiar with storage buckets where you can store files. And there is indexes that's available. And here you can see my FAQ file. And I could add a different index or the same. And instead of this coming from, I mean, I can update the file that's in storage bucket, of course, if we get new versions. You could also have a connector that you add. So you could get this from a database directly and so on and so forth, or schedule that at regular intervals. So query an external source. So that's very, very helpful to get up-to-date info, which
Yeah.
is used by your agent, and also of course how many token limitations and so on. So how much is being used when they generate responses and so on. So this can be yeah, added to the agent here. And then there's more stuff like tools, which, I mean, the easiest to describe tools is like an art that they can also use an automation as a tool, but there can be more. And the escalations, which I have ignored here, but this would be exactly, okay, I don't know, or I'm not too confident. I'll add an escalation to, of course, then human in the loop, bring this to their attention. That's that. And as you can see, maybe top left, this isn't a very good agent yet, but you could check the health score, what's good. Maybe my prompt is not that good, tools of, so yeah, but the input schema is good that I'm using and so on. But this can help. So going through iterations or should help you. But to start with, and again, to align with the topic of our session, just start with something simple. And there's also it's here, autopilot will also help you improve your agent. You can try and go back and forth and see. But then, of course, the question arises towards, of course, enterprise grade, and is it good enough? When is it good enough? When are we confident to use it and when not? That's also a very important topic. But if you want to get started, build your first agent, that's definitely play around, add some context. But we've got a lot more slides on that afterwards. And I would say that we simply showcase. So here's my inbox, my Gmail inbox, and I've got 2 emails from the same person. Yeah, 2 inquiries or even a complaint. It will pick up one, which is yeah, we'll see which one it is. So it will process that and then answer the email or escalate, but it will answer the email. And I will just go here and say debug and save and debug or run. So this can take a little bit of time, but now you will see an execution trail. I mean, it also looks neat, of course, but this is now an instance that and in production, you are able to track. You can track the individual process instances. One email is the instance. So the email has been processed. We can see it in the global variables, good morning, into today's delivery, blah, blah, blah. They weren't quite happy. This is the complaint by them. And now we or our agent will analyze this, check the FAQ, and so on, and puts together a response. Now, of course, this is very simple what I built here, and you would not want to probably answer this complaint directly like this. But you will see, so this has been completed, and I should be able to switch to the person's mailbox. Now, they have received just now a feedback regarding missing items. There is no formatting here, but they said, okay, thank you for reaching out. Now, of course, we apologize, blah, blah, as per our policy, which is the FAQ. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be very happy about what they're saying here. You would probably not work with them anymore. So that's maybe not the best way of, but also showing you, hey, be careful and test, because of course the agent, if they communicate internally or externally, they are part of your organization, and what they say counts for your organization and your name.
So
The
better
email. Mhm.
get them through onboarding like you would the humans.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but there's of course different or um, additional steps you need and protocols you need to go through, or guardrails that they implemented here, where you say, okay, it has to be a good answer. What's a good answer? What do we do, and or should the agent do, and what should it not do? I've ingested the second email. Of course, let me switch here. So this was the complaint. Of course, they mentioned, look, I've in my order, that was the first one. We didn't receive some stuff. And the second email that is just has turned on toward red is, okay, they're asking like minimum order value and so on. Some questions, and I think, or probably it's answered already by the agent. Let me hop back. He's still evaluating that one. We have a question by Loveness. How does the escalation work? So, like to the top right here, through email or an action app. And actually, yeah, it's actually an action app that you would or you would design an app and hand this over to the experts. But then again, we are free to build whatever. You could build your own escalation and send that email. I could also have an send email to expert here. If I don't want to use an action app, then yeah, we sort of build it the other way around, or manually, and hand it over, or differently, hand it like this to our case managers. And case management is also something that might or should be introduced at some point. Yeah, I think they're working on it. Yeah, so I've received the second answer on, and this again, of course, same formatting, but it will tell me minimum order value is 250 Swiss francs, which is exactly from our context, the FAQ, and so on and so forth. So a very simple demo, which did not take long to build, of course, but it doesn't, and that's maybe the tricky part. It doesn't take very long to build, but it will take some time to master and to get it out there that it works very well. I think that's you, Christian, right? You unmuted yourself. I will show this slide here. So what have we got? This is part of my uh, solution. Okay, I didn't import the BPMN diagram. So that was there. I'll show that right away. We have some agents. We have the agent that has context. We have existing automations like uh, send or understand the email, read the email. That's basically how we build the solution, and that's the agentic automation, where the agent itself is only part of it. It's only, let's say, only this yeah, service task, this agent task here. Yeah, Christian, you've got a question, is that right? Not sure. At least you're unmuted, but or at least we cannot hear you.
Yeah, and I will use this time to ask. So, from what I saw, and now correct me if I'm wrong, but using this tool is also easier to sort of say debug because you don't need to run the entire flow from scratch. You can start from the middle, repeat some step in the middle. Is that correct?
It's true. Yeah, you could always, yeah, there is debugging available where you could, or if there's an instance which fails at some point, you could try and pick it up again and so on.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you have debugging functionalities. Also, you can see, or you could see the breakpoints that it could set and so on. Maybe you saw it before. That's possible. And of course, this. So we have, let's say, can you call it downstream, like from BPM to RPA? That's what we showcase. But you could also, it to me, or Maestro is the missing piece towards process intelligence and process mining and so on and so forth. It connects the two. So
Yeah.
for end-to-end automation, you model whatever process you see. You have different. So you have sub process. You have, and I've got this in what I'm gonna show you soon. You have swim lanes and so on and so forth. So a lot is coming, annotations, of course. So this is BPMN, which
Yeah.
that was, of course, deleted the wrong section, but that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, it also can act as a missing piece because in some customers I saw they have huge process and they cannot automate everything because there's some decision points. So what they do, they automate part one, part two, part three, and they design it in a way that it's separate process, each part, so that the person can intervene in between and say, hey, data here is fine, move on with this process or move on with this. Now with agents in the loop and with Maestro, you can combine all those processes and put those decision making points in the middle of those steps, and you can pretty much connect a large scope of create one big automation out of small parts, like
Yes.
which was the case before. So yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes, and we also got that on or more to say about this on the upcoming slides.
Yeah.
I see Manuel is asking, so what are we using in terms of a model? So what's here in preview now? So this is the form view of the agent. Now there's, maybe you've seen it with other AI agents, the flow view, and it's using GPT 4.0. Now let's see if I can showcase this. Or I think it's, no, I'll use it here. You can use different models also on how, okay, I cannot edit this. Let's see if I can do this real quick. Test, we take the storage bucket, we take my item here, doesn't matter. Does it let me? So no, you can also take different models here depending on the context that you provide, because they might be better. So there are different models available. Yeah, and this is, of course, these are the UiPath built agents. You could also, let's briefly go here. You could have an external agent. That's also possible. So you orchestrate this and you communicate with an external agent or even scripts and so on. So a lot is possible or will be made possible via this. So it's opening up a lot of opportunities.
And from what I know now, correct me if I'm wrong, Roman, but the guys from UiPath is constantly working on spreading. I mean, not the
Mhm.
growing these action sections. So even I assume that whatever there is, the more will come.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how long has it been out for? And more actions have been added here. Queue items, of course, is something we have been eagerly waiting for. Business rules is here and so on. So more is coming, and also, of course, or more BPMN capabilities have been added over time. So yeah, it's a new product, of course, and they're working, but it's a priority. I'd say it's a priority product. Yeah. So how I'll show you two things here, how to get started maybe. This is Maestro, but I've also got a different page for you in a second. So you could start modeling because that could be one of your sources. You might have BPMN files available already. So so someone has documented the process. So you start with an agentic process. It's same. It's a solution where you could add processes and so on. Start event. Now here, drop a BPMN file or upload it, and I've got a different, slightly different file here that I'll import. But now I've imported a BPMN 2.0 or a BPMN file. It can be 2.0 with more properties. And what would you do? You don't need to automate, of course, everything. You can. But now, of course, each of the activities you would replace with actions. Maybe this is detect request language. Maybe this requires an translator agent or whatever, or a translator workflow, and so on and so forth. So this is how you can now start, and that's super interesting. If you have BPMN files or you have the business modeling that already, because it's an understood modeling language. But what is behind, and this has always been the case, right? You have a process, but what's behind each activity? It can be a long RPA workflow. It really depends on the granularity. But yeah, this is, you have the BPMN file, replace that or reorder it and replace it with actions such as RPA workflows.
Imagine 5, 6 years ago when you get an PDD and you just put it in Maestro and it automatically creates the structure. So you just, you need to fill the technical stuff, but it's easier to follow the process and the entire flow.
Right,
So yeah.
right. And I don't know if you've built RPA workflows and then you modeled the solution with BPMN to communicate with the business, or your as is or to be process demanded actually a BPMN file in the process or in the PTD. Yeah, that's
Yep.
one thing. And I think last point here to get started is so if you want to build your own agent, that's also on the platform. Build your agent now. I will click here and I've got a prompt prepared. It's the same that you've seen already. I hope it's responsive. So sorry, let me switch back. So here, there are different types of agents. I'm not going to go into that right now, but autopilot will help. So what should your agent do? And instead of starting from scratch, I have a prompt, or sort of you're the sales agent that processes inquiries and so on and so forth. It's pretty much what we had before, but I can say generate agent, and now autopilot will help me. And at least with this system prompt, user prompt, and so on, it will generate that. So this can be helpful, especially to get started early on. You can review this, and we'll give you some tips and tricks. But of course, it's a lot of text. Let's see, this is the suggestion. Do I like this? Yeah, I do. And that's it. Now I've got this in my system prompt, and it could already be, or user prompt that could do the same, except, and so on and so forth. Now, okay, I need to somehow map this to get the customer email into the agent and so on and so forth. Yeah, it will take some time for you if you're starting with this. But yeah, that's pretty much the demo part, or giving you an overview of a solution, what it could hold, and that it's not just this agent, it also comprises or still some skills, of course, that we have, or most of us have from RPA. And if you don't, but maybe I'll have to show the URL here. BPMN, if you just want to try and start with a BPMN process, you will not have, of course, local agents you've built and so on, but you could use this modeler. So they've reserved the sub URL bpmn.uipath.com, so people can play a model, and you can import from file, and that's exactly what I did before. You can import your BPMN file, and yeah, then there's not, of course, not too much you can see. There's no properties or actions here because I'm not locked in here. It's a free version to be used to model, but see what capabilities there are. Good. So yeah, that's the overview and sort of the solution that it has individual automations in there, agent, and the agentic orchestration on top of it. So how to get started, or could you get started? Apart from maybe, okay, where are these products and how can I use them? Is it community edition, whatever? But let's take a step back also. What's a good idea to start with? And I'll hand this to you, Juro. This is your a slide and table you come up with in one of your blogs.
Yes, yes. So I recently published a blog, and that's where I wrote "Pick the Right Horse." So first of all, and first things first, we need to understand that agentic AI and all these AI tools which we have, which are great, which can help us a lot, they are not something to replace what we already have. So it's not like agents came, RPA is dead. No, I see a couple of already blogs and posts on LinkedIn where people are like, yeah, the RPA is dead, RPA is dead. I mean, RPA, as much as some people hate that word, I mean, it's the way of how automation should be done. So whatever you do on a PC, if it is automated, then it's pretty much the falls into the category of RPA. So how I look at it and how I encourage people to look at it is RPA is something which you already have. You already know how to automate stuff, or you want to learn. You already have some process which you want to automate. Agentic stuff, AI stuff, all those tools are just the new tool which you can adopt and then continue working with automations even more better, even more precise, even more autonomous. So that's the things. And with this comes the decision matrix. So we have different type of automation. We have integration services. We are all familiar with that. That's the traditional automation. In my new book, I often called it. So it's something which you can do with macros, with static codes, with scripts. You have RPA. RPA is all most of the time. Yeah, it's graphic user interface related, which is good, great thing, because it's easy to learn, easy to do, and a lot of citizen developers I created myself continue working with RPA, and some of them became RPA developers. The bad side of it is if graphic change, the selector most likely will fail. So that's the downside. And also we have AI agents now which can do some different stuff or the same things but better. So this matrix will be available with this slide after this event, and you can also find it on the web. And I encourage people to first go through the matrix, first see what you are doing and what is the best tool to use, because sometimes you can overkill something with AI because it is simple, it would be better to do with some traditional automation, or sometimes this is the perfect case if some decision is needed, if some judgment is required. And a lot of people have been asking me as well from my clients actually, what is the best use cases for AI? So from company to company, you can determine, but one nice use case which I saw for AI was one of the first cases is determine what new employees onboarded in corporation, and the AI tech guys need to assign the equipment for that guy. So it's for the person, the ticket is open, and then the tech guy is going, oh, what is his position? Where is he working? Is he a programmer? He needs strong PC. If he is support, then he might not need strong PC, but he need a good headphones and stuff like that. But AI can determine those stuff. You give him good input and he can provide good output. So this is the set of equipment which this new employee should have and stuff like that. So this is the good use case for the AI agent, but should you consider some scripting guy and some C# guys to do this automation? No, definitely, because they will create big code with a lot of if statements, which will be maybe overkill for this job. RPA can do input and output stuff, but AI agent is the tool which would shine here, and so on. So first of all, you need to step back and see what is the good case for the tool you are using, and then you can get the maximum out of that tool instead of trying it, seeing it not working, and then say, hey, this tool is not delivering what's promised.
Yeah, so you basically or sort of answered one of the questions we have in the chat also. At what point would you say a decision or judgment becomes too complex for standard RPA? This can be one example because
Yeah.
you need to make decisions.
Yeah, and also for example, where would it be overkill for RPA if there is a lot of input? For example, tickets. There's a lot of tickets opening, and then you would need for each ticket to sort it to correct, I don't know, team, assign it to correct people. Then if there are thousands of tickets every day, RPA could work, absolutely, but might take a long time, and you would need to maintain it a lot more to cover more cases, to cover more inputs, outputs. AI would probably do this in no time because he would be faster in coming back up with decision where to pass what. Will it be 100% precise? Yeah, not even RPA would be, so we cannot say that, but I would be more confident with going with AI here.
Yeah, to aggregate or categorize, and you can still
Yes,
fine tune it when you have outliers. Of
true,
course, you could use it and retrain that.
true.
Okay, good. Then this is the same source we had earlier with the assessment framework by Gartner. This is, of course, or then for AI agents, finding the sweet spot. So the question we had was about RPA is where's the RPA sweet spot? Maybe to a degree. So this is also something we need to learn, that AI agents can be an overkill for low complexity stuff. No value is being generated, or the AI agents are simply not ready. As technology needs to evolve, it's too complex and so on. There are many use cases, but so how can we find the right use cases? Where can we start? Where should we start? And what we want to show here is, or we can learn or from the experience we've already got and adapt. And this is a slide that I show frequently on automation journey, and we will see the parallels. So let's maybe go back, or if you want to start out off with automation, RPA, whatever it is, intelligent automation, it will be an experiment. It might be a project, a pilot automation. So you will conduct some brainstorming, maybe some workshops of what can we do, what value can it provide to me, to our company, to my team, whatever. And you will find some candidates, some short list of potential use cases or partial automations that you want to address and go for. So you can maybe start with a proof of concept. Say, okay, I want to prove that a robot can work and type something into my system of records. Sure, we can prove that. Same applies for agents. So we will elaborate more on this. But this is, and hopefully something you already know. So why we don't need to. It's not completely new in that regard. What can we do? We should learn from what we also already know and use that. So then you would, if it's a success, of course, you will move on and transit it over to a continuous journey where technology or the initiative becomes institutionalized, where you continuously do process discovery, you design, develop, you test, roll out, maybe scale, and then go back to, of course, the backlog, or you do more process discovery, prioritize the cases and do more and more. And this can be isolated for RPA or IPA and agentic, but why not bring it then at some point together? where you say, okay, we have this use case. What do we want to achieve? Is RPA the right tool set for it? No, or maybe not entirely. Might need to be a combination, or it will open up more opportunities. So this is the automation journey that we think is still valid or always valid, also when it comes to agentic automation. And here maybe, so sort of in text form, where can you find inspiration, ideas? And that's what I just showed, right? RPA or automation discovery. How so far have you found ideas or potential automations? Yeah, we need to apply same principles. But now you might have some artifacts, sources around already. Some you might have used already, but we have the capabilities of BPMN or BPMS now. So why not use those diagrams or automations that we have, but we sort of only automated 80% of it. Some of the decisions exactly we could not have done, or it was maybe it also needs some rehaul or overwork or rework. Sorry. Now we can maybe some that was very tedious to maintain because yeah, a lot of rules and cases and ifs that we added. Maybe the agent would be better suited. So that's one of the sources that we could take a look
also
at. Mm-hmm.
at this point, sorry for interruption, I would like to add also revisit some old automations, but not the successful ones. Successful ones are up and running, they are good. Try revisiting some failed automation, something which you developed, it was running for a month or two and then failed because customer was not happy with what he got or whatever. Try from those automations and see, okay, they failed with RPA, which we implemented. Now can maybe agentic stuff get this back running and improve those automations? So that's also some idea where to find the potential cases and inspiration.
Yeah, very good input. Yeah. Why change a running system? We don't really need to, but yeah, some stuff has failed. Why? It was too complex, or we could just not get it done, or it was yeah too tricky to pull off. Too much support needed, too many escalations, and so on. Yeah, right. Next up is like agent catalogs or templates. You might remember some process heat maps that were, I don't know, when you last looked at the process heat map for RPA. Yeah, there can also be heat maps for agent or agentic cases. Templates, we've got a screenshot from the UiPath marketplace. Whether that's suitable or whether a template is suitable to your need is questionable, but it can always help as inspiration that this could be something for this department. But of course, same as you would have done with RPA or those cases, conduct brainstorming, prototyping workshops, discovery workshops, sessions, and play around and try to build an agent and see what it needs. Whether your data is actually ripe and ready, mature enough for that. Yeah, that's pretty much that. And something we can recommend is, right, Churo, the discovery framework, some fundamentals. Yes. The UiPath Academy has got new courses. It's good quality. I have another link on the next slide for prompt engineering and so on. So it's good. It can be used not only within UiPath ecosystem, of course. It will also help you better understand how well Gen AI and so on works.
Yeah, and with all this stuff, I think that the main message should be when you said parallels, experience, and information, it is to first take a look at the process, and that's why in the beginning we mentioned that we will talk more about fundamentals and why RPA is not dead, but the agentic is only the level 2, but you still need the progress from level 1 in order to come to level 2. So it's maybe best to still step back and not look at the new tools like a miracle software which will fix the failed process in the beginning. So you need to make the process up and running. So you need to have the process map. You need to know what you are doing with, and it's best, of course, if you are just starting or if you are new to this, go step by step. Go with the smaller tasks first. Don't dig into one big process. Okay, this is something which I also saw. That's when I mentioned that I already saw AI fails. So I saw processes which are extremely big to develop, and the customer didn't understand the tool exactly from the beginning, so they spent 10 months into creating something which was not planned properly. So if you planned, if you created phases, if you delivered step by step like you would normally do in RPA, that's day-to-day work in RPA world. Everyone who is RPA developer is familiar with how important PDD is, how important it is to do stuff segment by segment and then deploy, deliver. The same principle applies for the agentic and the AI stuff. So that's why what Roman mentioned in previous slides, it's the same roadmap like it is with the RPA, with the AI from our perspective. So the most successful stuff which are going is the one which went step by step, smaller steps first, and then you can extract and expand.
Yeah, perfect. This is, yeah, how can you get started? You don't need to know everything. We have one illustration here. The mise en place, you might be familiar with that when you prepare a meal, and you will get better at preparing a meal. You need to know the ingredients, and if it comes to, let's maybe stick to an agent, building an agent, what do I need? So prepare some of the things first. What what role or goal does this agent have? What's the context? What do I need? And so on and so forth. Do I have this available or not? So this is or an illustration that might help you along the way, and you will get better at it at preparing that meal and so on. So
Yeah, starting the oven without the ingredients is just a waste of energy. So first prepare, then engage.
yeah, but of course we will get better and better. You can also improvise. Maybe you can improvise. Um, then this, I'm not spending much time here. We also have a question in the chat that I'm addressing very soon by Smitha. So marketplace. This is a recent screenshot. There are some agent. This is the agent catalog. Maybe you will find some ideas here. Sometimes it's, or for me, it's also being good, sort of, yeah, as inspiration, but seeing how they are built, what are they using, some practices maybe to learn. Yeah, maybe that's something that helps you. You might find something that, yeah, is in your area or expertise or department. That's that. And then how again to get started. And you mentioned that earlier, Juro.
Yeah.
Start off simple, and I would add to that the first agent you build, and the one I had in my demo also, this does not follow best practices. We'll show what are best practices, of course. I've got two sources then at the bottom of this slide. And also, and one of the questions we had, what AI model are you using? It doesn't need to be perfect. You might not even know what the best thing is, but you need to experiment and get a feel of it. What's always crucial, especially in enterprise context, right, is so am I using my data? Where's my data? Is it being used? If you start off with something, maybe you want to anonymize it anyways. Even if you know, okay, this or there is a trust layer and so on and so forth. Still, maybe you want to anonymize and use test data. You will learn more and more of the aspects, and this will improve the mise en place that we had earlier on. So for your next agent, you will get better and better at it. So maybe you have an idea in mind, you started off with something simple, might not be the perfect agentic or AI agent, let's say AI agent case. But then again, you can go back or you can do some discovery workshops. So what can we do with traditional automation? What can we not do? Or what has failed, as you, Juro, mentioned? Yeah, that's something. And maybe, yeah, this is here, two inputs. Of course, you need to have the tooling available, but we can always help here and connect and see what do you have available, or yeah, some tips and tricks also from the community. A lot is happening in this area. So maybe what should you try to achieve here is, yeah, what value can you generate with AI agents or agentic automation as a whole? What can it do for you? And yeah, what do we need to answer and understand? And here, if you want to get better best practices for agents, there's also an academy course that will help you better understand or how to make and build a better agent.
Yeah, and also I want to add something, even if you don't see the value right now, even if you don't see the perfect fit for the agents in your cases, keep it on a radar, because I mean, a lot of you probably are familiar with that already, but this thing is evolving rapidly and a lot is changing from day to day. So it's worth keeping an eye on it, because sometimes it might click and you will be like, okay, now it makes sense for me to start with it. So I definitely will not sleep on it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know how you people here, what your or perception is, whether you've started off with something or whether this is a good idea, what we have here, sort of with yeah, the analogy of yeah, RPA automation discovery so far, whether you think you can adapt this also to agents and agentic automation. Sorry, scrolled back and forth a bit here. So I think we can open up the discussion anyways, or some closing remarks, of course. And we need to answer this question by Smitha. If you have any questions, maybe for now, you can raise your hand or type in the chat, and I'll read out this question by Smitha. So for building the SQL code by feeding metadata in storage bucket indexes, building an AI agent would be the correct approach, or is there any better way? So I read it before while we were talking. I'm not sure I fully understand what you want to achieve, or do you, Juro? Have you got an idea?
Mm, yeah, I was also a bit confused, but if it is the manual way of feeding the metadata and then sorting the big portion of input text or input metadata, then yeah, my first guess as well would be, yeah, let's go with the AI. It's maybe better than following some other rules, but I might understand the question wrongly.
Yeah, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, if you're still here, and I didn't check.
Hi,
We
I'm
have Chris. Yeah, hey, super.
so the metadata is an Excel file, for example, which has the list of all the schema, table names, column names, with the comments and what does that column consist of. It basically give the overall description of all the tables, and the ask is to build a code by after reading that metadata. Let's say a user is asking for, I need the list of, I'm taking an example of a provider table. I need all the list of providers who are termed during last month. So I'll just type
Yeah,
message in a normal language and I should be able to get a SQL code. And I can use
yes,
code to run. Yeah.
super. So yeah, that's sort of a conversational agent, or yeah, that you are using, or it could be, it doesn't need to be a conversation directly, but a user will have an interface to ask exactly this, to have ad hoc reporting capabilities. But and to have this schema as context in the background is super helpful. And then of course, yeah, you would use AI. Exactly, your agent would be able to, from the user prompt or the question that arises, I would like to get, forgot what you mentioned, but like last month's, or whoever has purchased the most last month, or we made the most revenue with, and so on and so forth. So whatever queries, and it will, yeah, build your SQL query and ask exactly in the database with the help, or be correct with the schemas that you provide as metadata. This would or could work. Yeah, there are use cases on this.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's more dynamic, of course, compared to building every scenario and one-to-one sort of with with an RPA workflow, where you say, okay, we interpret this. What is the intent? What do they want to achieve? And then which table do we query, and how do we filter it? So that's where AI can do a lot more. Yeah, of course. Then we come to the part of security, governance. Are they allowed to query this and that data, and so on and so forth? But
Exactly, that's better. Okay, thank you so much. That's helpful.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Thanks for the feedback also. Yeah, recording. There was a question on recording. Yes, it will be made available on the event page, maybe tomorrow or in 1 or 2 days, along with these slides that you're seeing here also. Christopher asked, when working with agents in Maestro or as part of yeah, or I'm getting a ping here. Of course, yeah, this is, or I'll leave this also for you to take a look. It will be, I don't think I can answer this direct or fully, or which will always apply. But we need to learn and get better at what is the scope of an agent, I think, and the role. It's not the CFO, that's not the agent, but it needs to be more precise to also provide better results. That's one. But yeah, maybe, or a lot can be, I would still say a lot can be, if you know how to develop some or good RPA workflows, a lot can also be achieved by workflows. That's, I think, very important also. And whether it's part of a full workflow, so I'm still with your question, Christopher. Okay, now I understand it fully. Does the agent itself need the tooling to provide something, or to look up some information? Maybe that's, I think, key. Whether the tool or the workflow is needed for the agent to give you a result. But I think you could design it in two ways. Either it's part of the agent, and the output of your agent will be exactly this, and made available only because you are because of that tool, or the agent will do a smaller part and provide input to a workflow. Yeah, I think it's both can achieve the same results. I can't really generalize it. Yeah. I'm just going top to bottom here. I see more and more messages coming in, but it's good. And you, Jura, are answering. That's good. On-prem environment, AI agent on-prem. I mean, you can bring your own keys. That will be possible. So that's definitely so. I mean, what model do you want your agent to use? But you can at least bring your own keys. You could trigger external agents. Maybe that's one that you host. Of course, or most of the benefits are and this and newest is in the cloud. Yeah, but we'd need to, or maybe we can find some stuff in the documentation on that to fully answer the question. Another technical one, is there a way to improve an agent's performance without having to tweak? I mean, most of it is via prompts, because that's what are you, what's the role, and so on. But there are, let's see if I have this available here. You can add evaluations and evaluation sets. So default, so with results from prior runs, you can use that. So this remains the same, but it will use or agent memory. That's also something that's important. They can know something that they've seen already, a case, and to learn from escalations and what the answer was, how that was treated. I hope that answers it. I think that's easier to answer. Yeah, the prompts, they consume tokens. That's true, and some platform units. This is we're not directly going or into pricing. This can also be, or yeah, there are some prices, of course, but can also vary or be individual as it's a new product. If you want to start, reach out to, well, partners or UiPath. We can facilitate that conversation also, even though, I mean, this is a community event, we can help if to understand where you're at on the journey. And yeah, they will provide trials and so on. So you get to know these new products. You can do those workshops, agent workshops, and so on, that you don't have to pay too much for that. But yeah, in the end, we are consuming tokens, and that can be, or yeah, of course, depending on how much happens or needs to happen, it can be costly. Or yeah, that's, I think, as much as we can say to that. Really good. We're getting a lot of questions here. UiPath also has questions. But you don't need to fill this out now. I mean, you can save it for later. It will also be in the slides. This is a survey that's been conducted over many years now, maybe rebranded a little bit. State of automation professional, agentic automation professional. Some good insights on what's happening in the markets. So always good. And if we can provide some feedback here, how we are feeling and what's happening, what's driving us, and where we are at. So yeah, if you have a few minutes, would be great if you could yeah, fill in this survey, and I'll switch back to the slide in a minute. This is also something, if you want to build a coded agent and so on, there's an event going on. You may want to take a look at this. There's some price money involved. Yeah, some interesting stuff going on, definitely. People can find new use cases and so on. Yeah, Juro, any remarks, feedback from your side, or some words of encouragement maybe for people that want to get started, even though we don't know
Yeah,
exactly where they are at, right, on the journey?
True, true. Well, I always say, I mean, it's good to be, and that's what I wrote in my first ebook, adopt and adapt. So it's always good to look for a new tools, to look for a new trends, because they are shaping the market, they are shaping the way we work, and you don't want to sleep behind the wheel. But on the other hand, yeah, take it slowly. Do not dive into it. Don't be like I I said, for me, when I was starting with programming and everything, when I saw the capabilities and the opportunities, I was like a dog in a park running for the balls. So I was like, yeah, let's take a break. Let's see, let's plan. So don't go into the paralysis of analysis. Test it, experiment, see where it goes. Don't dive immediately into the big projects, but on the other hand, don't think too much. Yeah, just start with the experimentation. Best thing to do is what I personally do. When I evaluate a new tool or new platforms or whatever, I always go with some small automations which I know exactly. For example, I know some projects which are 5, 6 steps, and then let's do that. Let's see exactly on the field how it works, because on the paper it can be one, on the field it can be another thing. So I like to test with some small automations, with some small tasks, to see immediately if it resonates with what I'm aiming for. Is it easy, as it said? Is it fast, as it said? Is it reliable, as it said? And how it works. And then from that point, when I have my fingers dirty, then I have much, much better input to say, okay, I would be eager to invest my time into this, or I'm afraid to invest time into this because I spent 7 days trying to figure out how to load the emails. Or I can say, hey, what took me 2 weeks to do in RPA, I did here in 1 hour. So that's sort of thing. So it's always good to experiment, to try, to see where you are, but never forget the fundamentals. So it needs to go step by step. You in order to climb, you need to go step by step. You can skip few steps here and there, but pretty much they always come back. So go easy and try it. That's my remarks, definitely.
Yeah, and what also encourages me is, or I mean, are we afraid that AI takes our jobs as developers, as implementation partners,
We are
as
not that lucky.
yeah. So I mean, the skills that we have and what we've learned already in the past, what general automation is, this is very beneficial to us, I think, and it will help us better understand what, and it can be a part of that solution of how an AI agent works and what they need as a tool and so on. So that's super important, and I think we are in a good state, have got good opportunities to thrive in this field, and yeah, we will see. I mean, it's a hype topic, definitely, and yeah, this I brought up this slide once again, really to emphasize this once again. If you've done RPA or POCs on automation, you might be doing the same soon for some agentic stuff. Proof of concept, understand, as you mentioned, Juro, get your hands dirty, understand it in your enterprise context, and then go towards sort of a proof of value. What can we achieve with this? What does this bring to us? And how can we achieve it? But yeah, of course, we will also make some experience along the way, good and bad experiences. Some might be, let me go to this here. Is it the sweet spot or not? Do we hit it or not? Same probably with automations we had built in the past. Some was maybe yeah, fairly complex and hard to handle than others. Some cases are more suitable. Some potential is easier to get depending on the complexity. Yeah. So yeah, we've received some thank yous already in the chat. If you have any more questions, yeah, don't hesitate to ask. We will be around for a little bit longer, but yeah, not too many are still here. If you have any questions, yeah, just go ahead. If not, hope you had a great session. It was great. Thank you also, Juro, for your insights, as always.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, and thanks everyone for being here.
Good. Yeah. So have a wonderful remainder of the day, evening, wherever you're from, morning. Thank you so much. The stuff will be made available on the event page. So yeah, have a good time. Thank you so much.
See you around.